I'm Eric Landskroner, and welcome to Jersey Inc. For the next half hour, we're taking you behind the scenes in some of the biggest names in New Jersey business. Some of them are household names. They've been part of our lives for decades, while others, well, let's just say, we wish they were part of our everyday lives. So let's kick things off by climbing aboard an exercise in excess. Just in time for summer, we drop anchor at a company born to conquer the seas as we visit the Vikings. Who buys one of these boats?
Your Fortune 500 CFOs, CEOs, sports athletes, entertainers, princes.
In other words, a Viking yacht is
something somebody doesn't have to have.
But at up to $8 million, a guy can dream. And they build those dreams right here along the Bass River in New Gretna. Pat Healy is the executive VP. His dad and uncle started the company in 1964.
There's nothing built like what is built here. The pride of doing this, and we're the very best in the world.
To build the best, they use the best. Once they have a design, they carve out a life-size foam model. But let's fast forward to production. They actually build these boats from the outside in. It all starts inside these huge molds, which help Viking shape the hull. After the hull is hoisted out, the mechanics begin.
Coming down?
Yeah.
All right, coming down.
During our Viking visit, we saw yachts in nearly every stage of production.
With all the material when it comes in raw to a finished boat, it's amazing how a boat comes together.
When the customer is building their boat, they come in and we have our own decorator and they deal with that department. So they pick out the colors that they want, the furnishings that they want. No two boats are ever alike.
I kind of feel like Leonardo DiCaprio right now, and it's easy to feel like the king of the world when you're standing on a 70-foot yacht, and Viking makes from 42-footers all the way up to 82-footers. You just need to have the money. Problem is, during the recession, fewer people had the money. As a result, Viking was forced to cut its workforce of 1,250 all the way down to 450. But now, business is building again.
We're calling people back to work. Within the next 45 days, we'll be at 850.
Helping Viking conquer the seas. From a whole lot of luxury to a little bit country. Saddle up, because we've left the boat behind for Newark, and a company that you can really hang your hat on. In the heart of the Brick City lies a little bit of country. So let's clear things up. Newark is home to one of the biggest cowboy hat companies there is.
We are a mass production custom hat maker.
Even more mind-blowing than cowboy hats being made in Newark, the Secratelle Hat Company has been there since
1878.
What's more, they make up to 1,000 hats a day. It all starts with something called blocking.
What the steam does is the steam actually softens the fibers so we can stretch it.
Only then can they shape the crown. Looks good, but it's still a little rough around the edges. So they pounce on it.
This process is called pouncing. This is the most important process of making a hat. You have to sand it down to the point where it has a nice feel.
And not just the crown, but the brim too. A process called brim jigging.
Brim jigging, and it's not a dance.
Okay.
We're trying to cut into it. It's like a diamond. The more we cut into it, the better hopefully we'll get.
Just a little more sanding, and it's time to get bent by bending the brim into shape. Add the sweatbands, liner, and buckles, and you've got yourself a cowboy hat. You can learn a lot about a person by their hat. Think of the shape and the style as an accent that you're trying to place. You can actually tell where in the country somebody's from based on their hat. And there are a lot of variations, like the brick top.
So when you say brick top, that's not for the Brick City, right?
No, but it could be. It could be.
In fact, here's Brick City Mayor Cory Booker in a Secratelle hat. Other notables to wear them: Brad Paisley, Garth Brooks, and Tim McGraw.
He just contacted customer service and asked us to overnight him a hat.
Big names, but it's the Secratelle name to remember. Just don't keep it under your hat. Since I started doing Jersey Inc., one thing became abundantly clear to me, and that's that all roads seem to lead to New Jersey. When it comes to this next company, that road leads right to your pantry, a household name with an arsenal of 1,600 products.
Hispanics are united by the language and separated by the bean.
But it all comes together in Secaucus, home to Goya, bringing a little Latin flavor to the States for 75 years.
We've got pinto beans, Roman beans,
Beans of all colors, big and small. Now, if you're a bean counter, they package up to 400,000 pounds of product here every day, all in a state-of-the-art labyrinth of fast-moving machinery and conveyor belts, both high and low. After the beans are measured, they're dropped into bags, and they're off. This is where they put the sell-by date on the packaging, but it doesn't actually touch the bag. It shoots the ink onto the package from about an inch or so away. Next stop, bean bag boxing, where they're taped and shipped. And that's not all they ship out of here. After all, what would beans be without rice? If you want to get an idea of just how particular Goya is about their product, after they put it in the box, they actually scan it by passing it through an X-ray machine to make sure that there's nothing in there that doesn't belong in there. It's big business, and more importantly, a family business. Founded in 1936 by a Spanish immigrant, Prudencio Unanue. Generations later, the Unanues are still going strong.
I believe so. I believe it's become much larger than he ever dreamed. He would be so proud to see how the company has evolved.
Just ask his great-granddaughter.
My great-grandfather started the company, so I'm a fourth generation.
Carrie Arroyo was out testing a new marinade when we stopped by.
A lot of really smart and really dedicated family members have gone before me and my cousins in my generation, and we have very big shoes to fill.
Which is why they say,
The Goya has to be good.
that's been their motto for years, but what about Goya, oh Boya? Interestingly enough, Goya says they haven't used that slogan since the early 1980s, and they only used it for a short time, but for some reason, that's the one that everyone remembers. Something else to remember is that Goya employs around 750 people in Secaucus alone. Up next on Jersey Inc., a little lesson in time and place. We head to a company taking bold new steps in Bergen County. And later, what do Norman Bates and George Costanza have in common? We'll be right back. Welcome back to Jersey Inc. I'm Eric Landskroner. If you're like me and a lot of these people, chances are you're always checking your watch, worried about arriving on time. Well, this next Jersey company has done a whole lot more than help you arrive on time. They've withstood the test of time. Time check, we're in Paramus, home of Movado.
The name actually means always in motion, so it's a brand that has a tremendous history.
So let's go back in time. The year was 1881, when a 19-year-old entrepreneur gave birth to a movement of sorts. He opened up a small workshop in Switzerland that would later become Movado. Ephraim Grunberg is the CEO.
It created the first curved watch in the market in the 1920s called the Polyplan. It created a pocket watch that wound by opening and closing called the Hermeto.
It wasn't until decades later that this man, American designer Nathan George Horwitz, took time and made it timeless by creating the iconic museum watch.
It's a modern design that